We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Coming to you, of course, on the podcast form, Stitcher, iTunes, and everywhere else. We are on literally every podcast forum that you can find. Title of the show and the focus, the trade that the Islanders need to make. I have analyzed this. I have searched far and wide. I have gone to every Buddhist I can find, and I have asked the question deep into their souls. I've looked into Garth Snow's soul. I've looked into all souls, and I have come up with the answer. I have come up with a trade that the Islanders can easily make, not give up all that much, not certainly mortgage too much of their future, and a trade that I believe will get them into the playoffs as a sure thing. If only Garth Snow would listen to me, we would have a New York Islander playoff franchise for certain. The comments that John Tavares made and why this deal needs to be done immediately. I have all the respect in the world for the Islander blog universe out there, but why they are completely wrong about trading for Matt Martin, who has, by the way, found his way on the outside looking in of the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup, and a few other little tidbits on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. Go Canes. All right, got some Canes fans in the house. Canes need to make some moves, by the way. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, like my Canes friend here, comment and let me know you're in the room and what you want to talk about on the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. Of course, if you want to call into the show, you absolutely can do so. Today might be the day because we can get some arguing going. We got some controversial topics to talk about. 631-438-1768. 631-438-1768. But I'm telling you, I have the remedy to fix the New York Islanders, and I'm going to give it to you and Garth Snow in this episode. Austin checking in. Go Bolts. Oh, my God. Austin, is there a better situation than the one you're in right now? For the love of God. Dear Lord. Oh, my God, to be a Bolts fan right now. Coming off of a successful All-Star game. You got the greatest team in the league right now by a long shot. Everybody thinks Victor Hedman's going to be out for 6 weeks. He comes back in like 10 days or something, right? I mean, the Bolts can't have better luck. They cannot possibly have better luck right now. It's unbelievable what they have been able to achieve. It really is. If anybody doesn't tell you that they're extremely jealous of Bolts fans, they are lying. Lying to your face. By the way, Austin, are you down in Tampa? Are you down in Tampa? Or are you from far away Tampa fan? Because I want to know about that Pirate Festival. I saw some clips. I heard it got a little crazy down there. I didn't know this, but they have a Pirates Festival in Tampa. Everybody was talking about it coming off the All-Star game with beads and stuff. Apparently, it's like a little Mardi Gras action going on down there. I did not know this. Would love to know if you were a part of all that. Am I saying that right? Wold Wolf? Wold Wolf jealous of the Bolts. Austin is from Tampa. You ever get to that Pirate Festival? I hear it's nuts. Want to talk about, by the way, Carolina. That team is good, aren't they? Carolina's good. I think Carolina, I wouldn't mind a little bump from the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't think the Carolina Hurricanes need to go out there and make a huge splash in the trade deadline market. But let me take a look at their roster again, just so I... By the way, the Hurricanes have playoff gold in number 14. I mean, dear Lord, do I love Justin Williams at this time of year. Justin Williams, like an alarm clock, like Bill Murray's alarm clock on Groundhog Day. It's every day. After the All-Star break, every day that Justin Williams just turns it right on. You got Aho, Stahl, and Teravainen playing together. Brock McGinn, Rask, and Justin Williams. That's a good second line. Skinner's on your third line right now. What's going on with Brock McGinn? Is he on fire? Is that what the deal is? Derek Ryan, Lee Stepniak. Lee Stepniak may be one of the great third-line players in the game today. Joachim Nordstrom, Marcus Kruger, and Elias Lindholm. Your phenomenal defense, Jacob Slavin, Pesci, Falk, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. He's had an okay year. He's had a good year, Van Riemsdyk, I think, in that third D spot. And the thing right now with the Canes is, and I don't know if this is still true, you can talk me out of it, they're getting the goaltending from Ward. They're getting the goaltending from Ward. McGinn is the big body. Is that what it is? He's making some space for the rest of the guys in that line. I mean, if that's the case, if that's a great, Teravainen, Aho, and Stahl as the one punch, the two punch, Rask with Williams, and then the three punches, Skinner. It's good. Certainly would explain why the Canes are making an argument for the playoffs. Let's talk about the trade that the Islanders need to make. First, speaking of the All-Star game, let's go with John Tavares' comments, which stirred things up a bit, and what he is saying about what he's looking for the Islander team and why he hasn't re-signed just yet, and what it's going to take.
Life, whether it's at the rink or not at the rink, will go into my decision. So, obviously, want to play for a team that's doing everything it can to win, and the Islanders are certainly doing that, and you can see a lot of the potential with a lot of the talent, young talent that we have, and obviously a lot of the guys that have been there for a while, guys like Josh and Anders, Nicoletti and Johnny Boychuk, a lot of the veteran guys we have as well that we lean on heavily. We got a solid foundation there, and like you said, I've always stated that I really enjoy being there and playing there, and I haven't really thought about anything else but mostly focusing on this season and taking my time and being patient, and when the time is right, I'll make my decision.
When the time is right, I'll make my decision. John said a lot of things in there, and I think the big key is, and we've been alluding to this a little bit on the show, he wants to make sure he's playing for a team that's doing everything it can to win. Is that the New York Islanders? That's the question. Is that the New York Islanders? I think they have to make a move and make a move immediately. I've been hinting to this. I've been saying this. Thanks a lot, Austin. Appreciate it, man. Give the thumbs up on the video. I've been saying this for a while. The move they need to make is goaltending. Forget all this defense stuff. It's secondary. It's secondary. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get your D back. You got Andrew Ladd coming back off of injury. That's going to help shore up your defensive game a little bit. But the move I think the Islanders need to make is a goaltender. Now, I've identified two goaltenders. One, I think, is the move. Two is the fallback. I would love Robin Leonard. We talked about this, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think Buffalo is in a position to give him up. In fact, they've said, we're not going to give up Robin Leonard. We don't have to. And I get that. So I thought, all right, forget it. Take Robin Leonard off the list. Take him off. Who is the best goaltender that would be available? Now, a lot of people, a lot of hockey pundits will tell you Rick DiPietro. No, I'm just kidding. That was Eddie V's line. A lot of hockey pundits will tell you the goalie market is thin. In fact, a week ago when we were talking about this, or maybe more, 2 weeks ago, I even said the goalie market is thin. And it's not great. But I have done the research. I have sought out the answers that nobody else could get. And I have the answer for the New York Islanders. The goalie market is weak, but there is a diamond in the rough. There is the answer to all the Islanders' problems. And I think if the Islanders pull this move off, they will be a playoff team for sure. May not be good for the Carolina Hurricanes if the Islanders pull this off, but they will be a playoff team for sure. Now, I like Greg's guess on Facebook. I love this guess. Am I going to say Lundqvist? No, I'm not. I think that would be amazing. As a hockey talk show host, I know better. As an Islander fan, I would be endlessly, my friends would never hear the end of it. Oh my goodness, to have Henrik Lundqvist hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup over his head in an Islander uniform would be a dream come true. Would be a dream. The only thing better than the Islanders winning a Stanley Cup is the Islanders winning a Stanley Cup with the New York Rangers franchise goaltender. That, I mean, any Islander fan can tell you that. The only thing better than that, than getting, there is a, you think yourself, no way, the Stanley Cup is the top of the mountain. No, it's not. Winning a Stanley Cup with Henrik Lundqvist in an Islander uniform is the top of the mountain. Good comment, Greg. I would repeat it here, but nobody else would get it. The top of the mountain, or with Ryan McDonough. Actually, Ryan McDonough in an Islander uniform makes a ton of sense. I also still wouldn't make that move because you'd have to send a ton of talent over to the Rangers, and I think that would come back to haunt the Islanders. That's not the move. And I want this marked down. Wednesday, January 31st, 6:34 p.m. is when Anthony revealed the plan that if Garth Snow was smart, would come to fruition. Eddie, I love your guess, but no, that's not it. I love this because nobody can see this coming. I'm telling you, this took me a little while to come to this conclusion and research this all. It really did. I really had to put some thought into this whole process on who the Islanders should get. But I have the answer for you. I know who it is. And again, I want it marked down Wednesday, January 31st, 6:34 p.m. Now 6:35 because I'm grandstanding a lot. Because I think that once I put this out there, I think everybody is going to run with this. I think you'll see it on Hockey Central at noon. I think you'll see it on 31 Thoughts with who does 31 Thoughts? Drager or Pierre? I forget now. I don't even know. It'll be everywhere. The move is number 32, Antti Raanta. Antti Raanta is the answer to the Islanders' woes. I'm telling you that right now. The answer to the woes. Antti Raanta, number 32 in your program, number 1 in your hearts. This is the guy the Islanders need to target. Now, let me put this out here. If they can't get Raanta, Philip Grubauer with the Washington Capitals is the number 2 get. But here's why I think Antti Raanta is important. And I know I just dumped on the defenseman. I think if the Islanders play it right and they really want to save their season, you go out and you make an offer for Antti Raanta and for Luke Schenn, and you have got the final pieces in the puzzle for this team to go on and make a run. Antti Raanta and Luke Schenn is the answer to the Islanders' problems. That's the answer. Antti Raanta and Luke Schenn. Now, I defy any hockey knowledgeable person out there to tell me I'm crazy. That's okay. I have an answer for you. 1, both of these guys are unrestricted free agents at the end of this season. Both of these guys play for a team that is in the bottom of the standings. They're clearly sellers. Both of these guys have tremendous value. Now, do I think that Antti Raanta is the future franchise goaltender for the New York Islanders? No, I do not. But I think that he is playing good enough right now to improve your roster. I'm not 100% of a stats guy, but I do love the stats. I think stats and heart and all the rest put together will put you in a position where you can make good decisions. That to me is the answer. Antti Raanta. Now, why? Why Antti Raanta, Ant? He has the best goals against average out of all the goaltenders that would be available at the trade deadline. So the fact that nobody else is talking about this is beyond me. Now, I know what you're saying. No way, Ant. Arizona just got him. Arizona's going to make him their franchise goaltender. I don't know. I don't know if Arizona is going to pony up the kind of dollars that he's going to want to be the number one guy in the desert, because he's making $1 million this year, and you better believe he's going to be starting to ask for 4 and 5 for next season. And do the Arizona Coyotes really want to pony up that kind of dough? I just don't know. They're a cap bottom team. They're not going to want to pay a lot. They got Scott Wedgwood, who's a restricted free agent, and they got God knows who else is coming down the pipe. I just don't see the Arizona Coyotes investing a ton of money in Antti Raanta. He's 28 years old. He's a free agent. He's got a 2.56 goals against average, under 3 goals. This is the answer to what the Islanders are looking for. Now, in case you're curious, Thomas Greiss has a 3.89 goals against average, and Yaroslav Halak has a 3.16 goals against average. Now, you're thinking to yourself, well, 2.5, not that far away from 3.16. Bull. Half a goal? That's big. That's massive for a team that has more goals for than any other team in the league. The Islanders are leading in the goals for category. You know where else they're leading? In the goals against category. There's not been more scoring in any NHL game besides a game that the Islanders are involved in. So the fact of the matter is, if you can shave off a half a goal a game, you're in a far better position. Look, what other options do you have? I got the answer for that question too. Bupkis. There are no other options. Like I said, your only other option is Philip Grubauer, and he is sitting right behind Antti Raanta as far as goals against averages go for this season. Now, why I like Raanta better is twofold or threefold. If you can package him together with Luke Schenn, now you're getting your defensive help that you need, and you're getting your goaltender help that you need, and they're both rentals because you don't want to get into anything long-term if you're the Islanders, I don't think. And you can do it with a fair trade to the Coyotes. If you have to go get Philip Grubauer from Washington, I think you're going to have to pay a little more because it's going to be an in-division trade. B, the Caps aren't looking to get rid of any defensemen right now. So there's that downside. And C, the other reason why I rank Raanta above Grubauer is Grubauer's played 16 games, Ranta's played 28. Grubauer plays for a National Hockey League team. Antti Raanta plays for an AHL team. Okay? Antti Raanta is sitting there with a 2.56 goals against average with that pathetic Arizona Coyote team in front of him, and he's still been able to maintain a 2.56. You put him on any decent team, you put him on the Islanders, he can shave that all the way down to a 2. And I believe that. So I like Grubauer, and I think that the Caps would give him up. But honestly, what we've seen in the league these days is nobody wants to give up a backup goalie when you're heading into the playoffs. I don't care if Braden Holtby plays a ton of games. He tweaks something, and now you don't have Philip Grubauer because you sent him over to the Islanders. That's not how you keep your job as a general manager. What would I give up for Antti Raanta? I have a slew of options. The Islanders are going into this season with the greatest trade chips ever. They have 2 first-round draft picks. They have 2 second-round draft picks. Would I want to give up any of those? No. Do I think you're going to have to give up some of those? Yes. I would give up any combination. I would certainly send a first-round draft pick over if I knew I can grab Raanta and Schenn together. If I had to send a first-round draft pick and a Joshua Ho-Sang, it would hurt me deeply, but I would do it. Again, you're in a no tomorrow situation. If I have John Tavares locked up already for the next 7 years, I do not trade Joshua Hosang for 2 rentals or a first-round pick. No way in hell. There is no tomorrow. You heard what he said. I want to play for a franchise that's doing everything they can to win, and that has been the Islanders so far. They've drafted properly. They made the right trades. Bringing in Eberle was brilliant. Trading and eventually getting Matthew Barzal was brilliant. They've done all the right things. The final piece of this puzzle is this deal. We all know they need goaltending help. You can make a playoff run. We saw it in the Florida game last night. They went down 3-0 early. This is a team that can't come back from 3-0. They need solid goaltending. They have Swiss cheese right now. Swiss cheese. They have to make a move. They have to make a move right now. The answer to their problems, by far, to me at least, is goaltending. That's the answer. What the Islanders have right now in their net is Swiss cheese. They got 2 Swiss cheeses back there. There it is right there. Look at it. Swiss cheese net. You put a couple of pads on that and a jersey. I swear to God, you take the picture of the Swiss cheese I have for you right now. You put an Islander jersey on it and you stack goalie pads in front of it. The team, John Tavares, is going to walk by and go, "Hey, Yarl, how's it going, man?" He ain't going to even notice that it's a Swiss cheese and not Yaroslav Halak. That's how bad it is. This is the move. If you can't get Robin Leonard, Jimmy Howard's not having the season that he should be having. Craig Anderson is not having the season. You need a guy right now. Antti Raanta is the guy. So you take your extra first round pick and you take your extra second round pick and you turn around to Arizona and you say, you can have both of these. Give us that guy. I would prefer that. I'd prefer a 1 and a 2 to get Schenn and Raanta. I don't think a 1 and a 1 is necessary. If they really pressured me to do so, if they sat there and said, no way in hell we're giving up Raanta unless we get 2 firsts, I swear to you, I'd make that move too. I would make that move too. Now, I think it would be interesting to send Yarrow back in the other direction, or Thomas Greiss would actually, I could see them sending Greiss over. You know, Arizona saying, all right, look, if we're going to give up a goalie, let's get Greiss back. He's under a manageable deal. He's not a bad goaltender. We put him with some young guys, maybe Scott Wedgwood, and we see that I could see working out pretty good. But you need to make this move. John Tavares wants it. John Tavares doesn't want to look like the bad guy. John Tavares doesn't want to come out and say, we have no goaltending. Our goaltending stinks. But he's holding Garth Snow and the organization's feet over the fire, making sure they do everything they can up to the last possible moment. That's why he hasn't signed yet. You're not done. You need goaltending. To hell with defense. You need goaltending. Every game I watch with the Islanders, as soon as they go down a goal, 2 goals, and they've had some fight in them, they're soft goals every single time. They're soft goals. It's unbelievable to me. That's the move to make. Now, Eyes on Isles is a tremendous outlet. And again, I'm not dumping on anybody here, but they brought up the fact that, and I don't know what's going on up there in Toronto, but Matt Martin has found himself on the outside looking in. And the idea was brought up, well, why not send a 3rd rounder over there to get Matt Martin? A couple of issues I have with that. I don't think you can get Matt Martin for just a 3rd round draft pick. I really don't. I don't know if Matt Martin's fallen out of favor with Mike Babcock, or they're just opting for speed or whatever it is. I don't think you can get Matt Martin for a 3rd. I don't think that Lou Lamoriello is going to let him walk for a 3rd. He signed pretty long term. B, he's making $4-something million, I think. He's making quite a bit. If the Islanders didn't want to give that to him before they let him leave, I don't think they want to give it to him now. Especially knowing that you got to pony up and pay John Tavares, and you got to pony up and pay I can't believe I'm going to say this. Josh Bailey. C, thank you, marching band. They need goalie and defense. They don't really need another fourth line player. They really don't. Matt Martin has, he's 2.5 for the next 3 seasons. All right, so they could fit that. They can fit that. I thought he was making like 3 or 4. I think that Matt Martin is a solid guy. I think he would put a spark back into this locker room. I think it would be great to see the greatest fourth line of the game come back together. If you can get him for a third, by all means, go get him. The second part of what the Eyes on Isles said was waiving Jason Chimera. Now, I was against getting rid of Jason Chimera all year long up until this point. He's had a half a season, and he's only scored 2 goals. Now, last year he did the same thing. Him and Ladd did the same thing. They did nothing. Second half of the season, they Justin Williams did, and they went off on a tear, and he wound up putting in 20. I hope that's the thing. But there's just something in his game where he's just lacking the confidence. So I wouldn't mind waiving Jason Chimera at this point. But anything we have to do to get Ross Johnston out of the lineup and Tanner Fritz out of the lineup is A-OK with me. So I'm not opposed to having a Matty Martin come back into the fold. I'd like it, but I just don't know if Toronto would part with him. At 2.5, I think they could fit it in. But it would be kind of dumb to let the guy walk for nothing, and then all of a sudden you give up a pick to get him back. But again, to me, this is a general manager. This is an organization that is going to lose the greatest piece of the puzzle they've ever had if they don't make the right moves. If the Islanders don't make the playoffs, this will send the John Tavares rumors into a frenzy. A frenzy. They have to make the playoffs. They do not have a choice. And they're in a dogfight. Carolina's right behind them. Carolina's a point behind them. They are tied for, and Carolina has a game in hand. They're tied with 55 points with the Rangers. They're a point behind the Flyers, who have 2 games in hand and have 1 more point to them for the last wild card spot. By the way, Pittsburgh they've done what we all said they were going to do, which was get hot, and now they're in the top 3, and Columbus finds themselves in a wild card position. So Columbus may not make it now. But you have the Rangers, the Islanders, and Carolina all super close. That's 5 teams for 2 spots. Whoever makes the move that puts the team over the top is going to advance. Now, last show, by the way, watch last show. It was killer. I'm not just saying that. That's the response we're getting from everybody. We broke down the Rangers rebuild and are they going to rebuild? So if the Rangers are going to start selling off assets, even if you take them out of the mix, you still got to do better than Philly, Columbus, or Pittsburgh and Carolina. Now, if Carolina goes out and makes that move and picks up somebody, what are you going to do? If Philadelphia goes in and brings in Evander Kane, help their scoring, what are you going to do? By the way, Philly could also do well by going out and getting a goaltender. And like we said, there's not a great market in there right now. Philly 8-2-0 in their last 10. The Islanders 5-4-1. It ain't going to cut it. You don't want to fall farther down the list. Trade deadline is upon us. Pick up the phone, call John Chaika and say, what would you like for Antti Ranta and Luke Schenn? You can solve all of your problems with one phone call, with one team, and you don't have to get messy. And think about the spark that that's going to have for this franchise. Oh boy, we didn't really give up much roster-wise, and now we have a goalie coming in here with a 2.5 goals against average on the last place team in the West. And now he's coming in here. And we got Luke Schenn, who is as solid comes as far as defensive defensemen that are affordable. And now he's here, and we have that depth. And we don't have to rely on Scott Mayfield, who, by the way, sucked last night against Florida and helped blow their game for them last night. Not that they're going to the playoffs, but who does Arizona have in net then? I would send Grice back the other way. I would. They have Scott Wedgwood, I know that. And they got a couple of guys in the system that they can call up. Sandra says Pens are a playoff team. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. Boston was hot as all heck, and they still are 7-1-2. But look at Pittsburgh, 8-2-0. Notice these teams that are on these 8-2-0 runs, 7-3 runs. They're doing far better in the standings right now than the 5-4-1s that are sliding down in the standings. It's time to put it on, man. It's time to get going. And I feel bad for Arizona, but think about how much better you are as the Arizona Coyotes rolling into this draft with an extra couple of first-round draft picks and second-round draft picks. I mean, it's sad to say, but that's the way that franchise is being run, on pure youth. Pure youth. And they can be better next year if they keep drafting the way they're drafting. That Clayton Keller kid is stellar. Stellar. But I've never in my life seen this before, where you have a goalie with a 2.5 goals against average, and he's on the last place team. The last place team. You're killing me. How I'm the first one to come up with this is beyond me. How no other hockey pundit has kicked the tires on Antti Raanta is beyond me. They've all thrown around the names that everybody else has thrown around. Jimmy Howard, Craig Anderson, blah, 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 blah. They all stink this year. Antti Raanta. Antti Raanta is the answer. He is the answer. By the way, Antti Raanta has a better goals against average than Braden Holtby. Antti Raanta has a better goals against average than Devin Dubnyk. Better than Henrik Lundqvist. Better than Frederik Andersen. Okay? And all those teams, sans Lundqvist, is a playoff team. All of them. He's got a better goals against average than Cam Ward. You want to beat the Carolina Hurricanes to that final playoff spot? Go out and get the better goaltender than they have. Again, Antti Raanta is not my franchise goaltender, but I need to make it now. I need to go now. You got two guys on expiring contracts, and I can give you first-round draft picks. You give a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick to Arizona. That's a player, whomever they pick, that they control now for the next 3 to 7 years. 3 to 7 years. That's what the that's what the Arizona Coyotes need. That is what they need. 3 to 7 years. And by the way, for those of you who are curious, my third choice is Jimmy Howard. 2.8 goals against average, 38 games played this year. I don't love him. But Detroit hasn't been great. And with a 2.8 goals, you just got to shave a little off. I don't think that Jimmy is that much of an improvement over Yarrow. But Antti Raanta, to me, is. He's the hot goaltender. And by the way, I could see them sending Yarrow back in the other direction, but he's on an expiring. If they asked for Grice, or if I could put Grice in the deal and save a draft pick, I would. If I could send a 1 and Grice over, I would do it. If it had to be a 1-2 and Grice, I would still do that. Because they can control Grice because he's under a really friendly contract for the next couple of years. But imagine if you bring Raanta in and put him next to Yarrow, and now Yarrow's got to compete again. Because when the Islanders were great and when their goaltending tandem was good, it was because Grice was playing lights out. And then when Yarrow was competing for time, they were both sharp as hell. When Grice's game went to hell, so did Yarrow's. So I think that Yarrow needs that competition. Remember when he was in St. Louis? He was in a competing position. He was good. When he was with the Caps, he wasn't that great with the Caps. When he was with Montreal, he had a fight for his minutes. He was good. He's good in situations where he's not the guy. By the way, his game went to hell when Doug Wade said he was the guy. So that's that. Evander thinks the Raanta Shen trade sounds good. I think it's the move. I think it's the move to make. Hands down, the absolute move to make. No better deal. No better deal. Couple of quick hits before we wrap it up for the evening. Let me know what you think and anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here on the Hockey Talk Show. Take a look at this. Vancouver Canucks have revealed a special jersey that they are going to use to commemorate the Chinese New Year during a warm-up against the Boston Bruins February 17th. Again, you know my feelings. I'd love for them to wear some of these warm-up games with the in the actual game itself. But I still think this is pretty nice. Ringing in the new year, in style, the Vancouver Canucks will open the Year of the Dog by donning a commemorative red warm-up jersey before their game against the Bruins February 17th. Jersey has a unique chest patch with a dog and the name Vancouver Canucks, and a shoulder patch with a dog and a hockey stick on each side. And you can see it right there. Actually, we don't have a shot of the shoulder patch. Sorry. We don't have that just yet. But you can kind of see it up at the top in this shot right here. Let me see up there. So I think that's pretty sweet. I think that's a pretty sweet look. Sandra, because hockey is big in China? No, I think it's more that they have a big Chinese population in Vancouver. And it's a nice little community outreach, which I think that the people of Chinese descent will appreciate over there in Vancouver. Again, these are all really nice gestures, but at the end of the day, they're all trying to sell tickets. So they put something like this out, pick up a couple more ticket sales. That's the hope for these guys at the end of the day. That's one thing. Tyson, I'm going to get to your question in 1 second. I do want to just talk about this other thing very, very quickly here, and then we're going to get to some of the hockey action. Look at this. This is Sidney Crosby with a young man, Guilherme Quime. I don't know. Here's a young dude. Let's call him Gilly. Who has his own rink in Mont-Tremblay, Quebec. Eddie, maybe you can help me out with that. I hope I'm saying that right. And he's skating in his own rink. Sees a figure off in the distance. Who's that guy walking over here, coming to my rink? Oh, it's Sidney Crosby. Oh, it's the greatest player in the game. Sidney Crosby was visiting his chick during his 5-game break, saw the ice rink, saw him out there skating, and thought, I'll go work out with this guy. Literally just grabbed his skates, walked up onto the rink, and started playing with this young man who's a junior player right now for a good hour or so on a Wednesday during his break. How great of a story is that? Isn't that a wonderful story? And by the way, just to show you how nuts Sidney Crosby is, twice when he was about to leave, he wasn't happy with his last drill and decided to do it again. Twice. Crosby twice put off leaving the rink in order to practice getting out of the left corner without being held back. For more than an hour, he worked out with a 19-year-old Quebecer who plays junior AA hockey. The two rink pals made their way to the local arena where Quime showed Crosby the dressing room used by his team, the Mont-Tremblay Diables. Ouimet told the press that he had trouble getting anyone to believe him. Here's the best part of this story. Nobody believed him that it happened. It was just 2 days later when he received photos taken by Crosby's girlfriend that he was able to prove to everyone that he had truly experienced the dreaming moment. How about that? Liz, this might be line of the night. Maybe Crosby's not as big a douche as I thought. Sandra, my son would flip his S. Yeah, isn't that a nice story? I love that story. That's a good one. Evander, speaking Arizona, I heard a rumor. Orpik, Johansson, and a pick for Hjalmarsson. I'd make that deal. Hjalmarsson is an upgrade over Orpik. Orpik is loved in the Washington locker room, though, isn't he? Orpik is very loved in the Caps locker room. Orpik is a stand-up dude. Not as good of a player as Yarmousen. I can't say Jarlsberg cheese either. But I would make that move. But I don't know. See, you know what, Evander? Last time we were talking Caps, they were in a different position. They were on a little bit of a slide. They've leveled off. They've regained 6-2-2, 29-15. They're going to get in. They're going to be in, and they're going to be number one. They're going to have one of the wild card teams. I don't know if you mess with the chemistry on that, my man. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're asking me if you're almost in is better than Orpik on the ice, yes. Chemistry-wise, do you really want to tweak this team right now? I'm going to throw that question back to you, Evander. Chemistry-wise, do you really want to mess with this team right now? Because they're getting decent goaltending. They're winning games. I mean, they're 29-15. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think you do whatever you can to improve your team moving into the playoffs. So if you think you should do it, you know, I would do it. This is a question that nobody can answer really other than the Washington front office and the coaching staff and the locker room, because they're the only ones who know exactly how important Brooks Orpik is to that franchise right now. Because last I checked, everybody loved him. He may be losing a step on the ice, but everybody loved him. Good locker room guy. And we see what happens when you start tinkering the locker room guys. That's basically what started the crumble up there in Ottawa when Mathot went. I'm going to get to Tyson's question, I promise. Austin, do you think the Caps could finally beat the Penguins in a playoff series? I do. Is this finally the year for the Caps? I don't think so. I don't think Washington can beat Tampa. But if the playoffs ended today, let's play this game. If the playoffs ended today, it would be Caps and Flyers. That's an easy Caps. No, I'm sorry. It would be Caps and Columbus. I think that the Caps could beat Columbus. Tampa would beat Philly. Toronto would beat Boston. And Pittsburgh would beat Jersey. So you're looking at Pittsburgh in the second round. I don't know, man. If you asked me this 3 days ago, my answer would God's honestly be different. It really would. It would be a little bit different. Pittsburgh is getting hot. Somebody brought up the point the other day on the show, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, the same thing happened to Pittsburgh when they went on a run. They were mediocre, and then they got hot, and they went. When they brought in Sullivan in the first year, they stunk. Fire coach, go on a tear. I mean, they're a second half team, and they're strong. You can't ever doubt the team that has the greatest player in the world on it. And is backed up by another pretty good player, number 71. I don't know. I think that Braden Holtby is better than Matt Murray, if you want to know the God's honest truth. And I know that might be a little nuts to say, Murray coming off of 2 cup wins, but, he had Flower. That was a big part of that. I like Braden Holtby a lot better than I like Matt Murray. I think their goaltending is better if you're the Caps. Boy, I'm telling you, if they did, I'm not saying they can't, but if they did, it would be 7 games for sure. It would be 7 games. I think that one would go the distance. Caps did pick it up, but they also had a 3-game skid. A lot of people are actually happy with Orpik's performance, so I hear that. But I think Orpik or Larry need to be replaced. My thoughts, anyway. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Evander. It sounds like off-season moves to me. It sounds like if you don't make it, it's an off-season move to me. We had talked about this in the future, too, and I still believe it, that the Caps could lose 4 or 5 of these guys and re-sign and let some of the young guys come up and still be fine for next season. They have enough of a core in place. Can the Fisherman jersey be designed to look good? I think so. By the way, I've seen prototypes of the Fisherman jersey in the Islanders blue and orange only, and it doesn't look all that bad. But you're talking to a guy who actually likes the Fisherman's jersey. I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I do like it. And I know that a lot of other people do like it as well, because I was interviewed for this kid's study once, and he said that he found a lot of Islander fans to actually enjoy the jersey. It's like one of those things where like nobody admits to buying Justin Bieber records, but he's like the best-selling artist. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't find anybody to admit to liking the Spice Girls, but yet they were selling more records than anybody else back in the day. So same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. I would like to see the, and by the way, in order to spark sales, the Islanders have been offering a t-shirt fisherman jersey version to people who buy group tickets. So again, there's some value in there. It's a weird Brooklyn hipster ironic thing, but there's still value in it. There's still value in it. And don't say anything to Johnny Boychuk about it, because he loves it. He designed a hat with the fisherman logo on it. He loves it. Are you saying the fisherman jersey is a guilty pleasure? It is. It is. Because I have 3 of them, and it would take you 20 minutes to find them in my house. They're hidden. I don't want anybody to see them. Do you think that the Rangers will trade Henrik Lundqvist? Yes, I do. I think if the rumors are true, and again, go back to last show. If you didn't watch last show, we broke down this idea that people are reporting that the Rangers, whether they're in it or not, are going to tear it down and rebuild. I think that Lundqvist is part of that. I don't think that Lundqvist is going to want to sit around and watch Nash get traded and McDonough get traded and Matt Zuccarello get traded and Grabner get traded and sit there and want to still play. I just don't. I think his contract's the hardest to move, so I think he'll get moved in the offseason, but I think they will trade him. I think it's, if it's been decided within the organization, if Jeff Gordon has convinced Jim Dolan, that's the report, that the owner said, tear this down, it's not good enough. I think that now is the better time to trade. You're not going to get, first of all, Nash is a free agent, so you won't get anything for him. Now's the time to trade McDonough, because people will get desperate before the trade deadline. You can get people to make mistakes and give you more than what people are worth at the deadline. So that's for sure. Same thing goes for Zuccarello, and same thing goes for Grabner. I think Grabner's a free agent, so you're going to have to make a lot of those trades during the deadline. Sandra loves the fisherman jersey. See? That's what I'm talking about. People don't openly admit it. You're not going to find it on anybody's status or profile picture, but people do like it. Tyson's question: do the Islanders have the cap to sign Ranta next year if this year goes well? He makes $1 million now. If he's in, here's the thing with that. Antti Ranta on any team is a $3 to $4 million goaltender. If he's the guy in Arizona and they have a ton of space, even though they don't have a ton of money to throw around, he's going to be asking for $4 to $5 million. So that's where the difference comes into play. In Arizona, he's going to ask for a ton. If he's in a 1A situation, he doesn't have the grounds to ask for that much more. Possible the Islanders could sign him. But the other thing you got to keep in mind, if you're the Islanders, they have this Ilya Sorokin who's tearing it up over there in the Russian league, and I think that everybody in the organization knows full well that kid's the future of this team, and I think he's going to be the guy. So it doesn't really matter. You don't need to really acquire a long-term franchise solution. In fact, somebody like him that you could maybe sign, maybe give him a bridge. See how it is another year or two. If you can get him on a deal like that, I don't really know. He's 28. I don't know what he's thinking. But my point in all of this is it doesn't even matter. Like I really mean this. There's no tomorrow. There's no off season for the Islanders. Everything is right now. John Tavares has forced their hand. It's all right now. It doesn't matter if you trade 2 first-round draft picks for a stopgap goaltender right now, and those 2 first draft picks go on to be the greatest players of all time, surpassing Gretzky and it doesn't matter. Nobody will fault you because there's no tomorrow. In fact, you move those 2 picks knowing full well that Arizona or whoever can draft the greatest player of all time, and you feel perfectly fine making that move because nothing matters. You keep those picks and you draft those guys, but Tavares leaves, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like Tavares leaving is the issue. You got to keep him here. You've got to make a move for move's sake. And I don't say that lightly, but you have to. And in this particular case, I think it improves the team greatly. Austin's got the last word. I doubt this will happen, but I've heard rumors that John Tavares would sign with Tampa and play with his buddy Steven Stamkos. The Lightning, I think, would need to open up some cap space. I've heard it too, Austin. The rumor was, and by the way, this was not a rumor. This I've actually tracked this down. This was legit. The Islanders were preparing, and that's why Matt Martin didn't get re-signed, and a whole other guys didn't get re-signed. They were literally putting all their eggs in Steven Stamkos' basket. Garth Snow thought that he could convince Steven Stamkos to sign with the Islanders, and it would be Tavares and Stamkos, 1 and 2 in centers, and sometimes playing together on the power play. That was the Garth Snow literally got to that point. Now, did Stamkos sign? I forget if Stamkos made it. I think Stamkos made it into that 5-day window where he can talk to other teams and gauge interest. I'm pretty sure he did. And I know that there were conversations between the Islanders and him and Toronto. And I think he kicked the tires on a couple other teams as well, too. But I can tell you that the talk within the Islanders organization was, we can throw a ton of money. We can literally go to max cap to bring now he wouldn't have made 8.5, I don't think, but they thought we would throw everything at him and give it 1 year or whatever the case is and see if we can get these two together. Now, that rumor and their friendship has now turned this into, well, maybe Tavares will go down there and blah, blah. I just don't see John making that move. I just don't. For the same reasons that Steven didn't. It's very dangerous to sign a 1-year deal when you can get $10 million for 7. You know, you bust your leg, you suffer that career-ending concussion, God forbid, whatever. I mean, John's taking a risk right now not having a deal done. Like, he gets popped in the game tonight and doesn't have a, you know, that's it. So, you know, that's a risk. I don't think you continue to roll that dice by signing a 1-year deal. I also don't think that Tampa really needs John as much as the Islanders needed Steven. And I also think that between Kucherov and Stamkos and all of their high-powered scoring offense, you got to find ice time for. I mean, there's so many things that they just don't need him anymore. They just don't need him. You know, it'd be great to add John Tavares, but sometimes it's an embarrassment of riches that will actually have the negative effect that you can't get Tavares ice time, or that you're taking ice time away from Kucherov or whatever. What happens if JT doesn't re-sign with the Islanders? What happens to him or the Islanders? Islanders will fold. Islanders will go away. John will be just fine. I don't think that there is a ton of scenarios where John Tavares does well with other teams. When you look at all the other teams who couldn't use a John Tavares, but looking at situations, who could use him, who has the cap space to sign him long term, and where does he want to be? He's the man on the island. He's the captain. He's the go-to. When there's an endorsement, when there's this, when there's that, it's John first and everybody else next. And John likes that. He's also fiercely loyal. And he also, let's not forget, the way the CBA goes, can get the 8th year with the Islanders. If he signs somewhere else, he can only sign for 7. That makes a difference when you're talking about $10 million. That's an extra $10 million. It makes a difference. So I think he'll resign. I think the reason he hasn't signed yet is because he literally wants this organization to bleed for him and get everything that they need to win. Because he hasn't had that at all in his career. This is the closest they've gotten. Signing Ladd, getting Eberle, like all these moves, drafting Barzal and letting him come up. All these moves have come together. They're there. He didn't have that his first 3 or 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 6 seasons. It was a lot more on him than anybody else. What are the chances that Snow trades Tavares and gets a ridiculous haul, but at the same time makes a verbal agreement for him to come back next year? 0. Austin says John loves it different. Yeah, he does. Zero chance that happens. First of all, it's against the CBA rules. Second of all, nobody is going to trade away that much for John Tavares and not have a sign and trade deal. In other words, he signs with the Islanders on the agreement that he'll be traded to so-and-so. This way, the other team has control over him. Nobody's going to give away 3 prospects and 2 first-round draft picks just to rent John Tavares for the playoffs. I don't think that happens. And then losing him back to the Islanders, not happening at all. Fun night tonight. Glad we got this out of the way. It was literally the topic of the evening, aside from the fact that Mike Fisher's coming back. That's good news for the Nashville Predators. But until we know when, we have plenty of time to dive into that one. Until tomorrow, enjoy the hockey action tonight. I will see you guys on the next shift. Thanks so much for the comments. Hit the like button on Facebook and YouTube. Share this if you can on your social.